Hey guys, just want to talk a little bit today about the Ruger Mark III 2245 we recently picked up. Really a phenomenal pistol. I'm really happy with. If you've been in the gun world, for any amount of time, you know that the Ruger Mark series of 22 pistols are really reliable and really nice guns, which is a hard thing to find in 22s in general. Really are known to be really finicky. So. I'm really happy with the reliability on this gun. I've only put about maybe 1,000, 1,500 rounds through it. All cheap bulk ammo, fed every round, ejected every round perfectly. Just really phenomenal for a 22. And just really accurate. I went ahead and sighted in at 25 yards. The rear sight is windage and elevation adjustable, so I had it right on at 50 or at 25, and then it was actually dead on at 50, which I was surprised about. Due to the sights being so tall, I thought I was going to have to aim a little high, but turned out to be right on at 50 yards. I was able to hit standard 6 plates standing with one magazine several times, so just really happy with the accuracy on this gun. It's a really good, by the name 2245, they gave it that because they wanted, they made it into a trainer for a 1911. They made as opposed to the other marks, they made the grip angle just like a 1911, and they gave it all the same controls. So your mag, release, slide release, and safety are all in spots where you would expect them to be. One thing I thought was kind of weird was that to release the slide, there's no mag in it now, and if you pull it back, it stays up. It doesn't have a spring keeping it down, so you do have to actually press it to drop it. Not a problem, just something I thought was kind of interesting. But definitely a great trainer for a 1911 if that's what you like. The only thing that's kind of weird is the grip is a little bit thin. This is the cheaper model where you can't put grips on it. I don't have really big hands, so it doesn't really bother me. But if you do have big hands, it's probably something to think about. Make sure you feel one before you get one, because the grip is a little thin, especially compared to a 1911. And the other thing is, the first thing when I grabbed it, I noticed it's really front heavy. I mean, this frame is so light with this big old bull barrel. I felt like it was just gonna be awkward with how much weight out there on the front. But really, after the first shot, it did not bother me at all. If anything, it's an advantage. The recoil is just, even for a 22, is nothing. I mean, you take a shot and your sights are sitting right there, right where they were before you took the shot. So, just really nice. A couple things I did to it. The number one upgrade I would suggest doing, because they're really cheap. The Tactical Solutions fiber optic front sight, really easy to change out. Just a screw right there. Which, if you try to change out pistol sights, they can really be a pain. Trying to push them through. So that was really easy and really nice. And then I did the magazine safety. I got rid of that with a bushing. They sell them, they're really cheap. I think it's really silly safety, unnecessary. If you were going to defend yourself with the gun, which I wouldn't suggest because it's a 22, but if you were, I wouldn't suggest doing that. I would never want to take a safety out on a gun I was going to defend myself with, so that's just something to think about. But the biggest advantage is that now the magazines drop free, real easy, so really happy about that. I don't have a problem with seating mags. That's something that you hear a lot about, that you have to get your thumb or something to really push them in the spot. I don't have a problem at all, but they do sell extended base pads if that's something that you do have an issue with. Just something to think about. No problem with this gun. And then I added the Majestic Arms Speed Trigger with over travel adjustment. That's the only thing it does is give you the over travel. I got it on sale, so I would probably suggest the Volquartsen trigger if you want to drop in fit, and it has the pre and over travel. I'm not worried about the pre-travel. I kind of like the pre-travel on this gun, so I'm really happy with the way this trigger turned out. But it wasn't, when I got it. It wasn't that great, because the over travel was actually, the notch here was too long to the point where you couldn't even pull the trigger, and also it was too long to where it was rubbing against the trigger guard. After grinding that, I mean, I'm really happy with it. It's perfect, but it did take some tinkering to get it right. I'm actually not even using the adjustment screw that it comes with because I was able to grind exactly where I need it. So if you just want to drop in fit and not have any problems, I'd probably say the Volquartsen trigger is the way to go. They're about the same price unless you get it on sale like I did. So I'm really happy with it, but that would be my suggestion. And then all the internals are stock, but with some polishing and everything, doing a trigger job on it. I mean, that's what really made it nice. It wasn't that great of a trigger to start with. It was kind of heavy and gritty, but with a little polishing and standard trigger job, it really shines. I can go ahead and show you. This is that pre-trail I was talking about. I mean, it's just so light and nothing. I almost like it because you set your finger on there and it's going to break right there. You can feel exactly where it's going to break, and then it just, just basically no travel, very crisp, about 3.5 pound, and then here's the reset, just right there, just really, really nice, quick, and that just helps with those follow-up shots with no recoil with that trigger. I mean, you can make follow-up shots really, really quickly and very accurately. So I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Not great stock, but it was just so easy to fix that I'm really happy with the way the trigger came. So another thing that people talk about is that these guns are very difficult to take down. And my friend actually told me that he was so scared of taking it down and had such a problem with it that if it was ever dirty, he would just take it to a gunsmith and have him do it. So I was a little bit nervous about that and thought it might be a pain. But really, really, it's not bad at all. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do it. If you don't have the magazine safety removed, you do have to insert the magazine because you have to pull the trigger, and then you have to drop it, and then you just pull on this lever back here, pull it out, put your thumb at the bottom, and pull straight down. Bolt comes right out. Put your thumb on the top here and here, and you just slide the whole assembly forward and off, and that's all. That's all there is for field stripping. It's really not bad. And if you're going to go ahead and do a trigger job to replace the actual trigger, like with the Volquartsen trigger or something, that part's not bad at all. That's really easy. But if you are going to go ahead and do the full trigger job and mess with the sear and everything, which I would say leave it to factory parts and do it yourself if you feel comfortable. Definitely, if you don't feel comfortable with it, that's not something that you need to mess with. But it was a pretty straightforward trigger job. Just note that this assembly part was a little bit more difficult. All these parts back here, and if you haven't messed with them a lot, that is probably something that you are going to have spend some time figuring out. So just be aware that part can be a little difficult. Definitely not the worst I've dealt with by any means, but getting everything to fit right just back where it goes is a little bit more difficult. So just something to be aware of. So to put it back together, it's pretty easy. You got a square peg here, and then that square there, and you just line them up, and then push it back. Then you just take your bolt, drops right in. Take this part right here, and pushes up like that. You'll see it come through the top. That part has to be coming up through the top, or it won't go the other way. And then this part, if you don't have the magazine safety, you have to put your magazine back in because you have to pull the trigger down and then just let it forward. And that's all there is to it, and it's ready to go. Really, really not that bad. I would definitely suggest cleaning it every time. They say they can run pretty good without, but 22 is just so dirty and gunks it up so bad. Before I did the trigger on it, I did notice that once it got a little bit dirty, the trigger got even grittier. Just a lot of that fouling and a lot of that gunk gets right in that the sear engagement there. So after polishing everything, not an issue, but before that, I definitely noticed it real quick. So I definitely suggest cleaning it every time, and taking it down is really not that bad once you figure it out. It can be a little bit difficult at first, but really not bad. So one other thing I wanted to talk about was the Tactical Solutions holster I got for it. Now, they don't have a lot of options for holsters, especially that can be used with an optic. As you can see, this one, you can leave your optic on there and it'll work just fine. Great retention. It's not going anywhere. It locks in really good. Really usable holster that I'm okay with. The problems are the belt loop here. If it's a 2-inch belt, which I don't feel like most people are using, I mean, if you have a nice competition belt, that's fine. But they're also so wide that on a normal belt, when you go to draw, it'll actually kind of jut up and kind of poke you a little bit and be a little bit uncomfortable. Not a huge deal, but something that I wish they would have worked on. And then it's just this is made so it's supposed to fit everything, all the Mark series, and can work with a suppressor. And because of that, it's so thick that I put this moleskin in here to make it fit a little tighter, because it was just it just rattles around really bad. You know, it's not a big deal because all the retention's here in the trigger guard area, and you have your retention screws, and it'll hold it fine, but it will rattle around. So that's just something to think about. There are not a lot of holster options for this particular gun with an optic that, but it's not bad. What's also nice about it though is it gives you that kind of little bit of offset to where you can get your full grip on it before you draw, which makes it's a real quick draw, and it's fine. You know, overall I'm happy with it. I just think they could have done it a little bit better. Maybe if they did more of these that were specific for each Mark series and everything, rather than trying to do a universal where you're going to get that slop in there and everything. So, one thing I didn't mention was the rail it came with. You don't have to leave the rail in there. I just leave it on because it doesn't get in the way of anything, and then you can I threw a little red dot on there just to play with a little bit. Haven't messed with it a lot, but it's just kind of nice to have there, so you can throw something on there if you want it. I really like this specific sight setup because this is what I want to train for USPSA and IDPA and everything. I like the fiber optic front and the plain rear, which is again goes that. I mean, it's a great trainer, blinker, whatever. It's just a really great gun that I'm really happy with, and definitely worth checking out. So, thanks.